In 2003, the United States invaded Iraq. The official reason was weapons of mass destruction. None were ever found, but here's what was found. Billions of dollars in government contracts flowing to a handful of companies controlled by a handful of people who had direct connections to the very administration that launched the war. And this wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time anomaly. This was a pattern, a very old, very profitable, very well-documented pattern. So today we're going to follow the money, because when America goes to war, somebody always wins, and it's almost never the soldier in the field. Let's talk about the 5 corporate dynasties that have built generational wealth on the back of American military conflict. Number 1, the Lockheed Martin dynasty. Lockheed Martin is the single largest defense contractor in the United States. In 2023, the company generated revenues of approximately $67 billion. Nearly 90% of that revenue came directly from government contracts, meaning from taxpayers. Their crown jewel is the F-35 fighter jet program, the most expensive weapons program in human history, with a lifetime cost now projected to exceed $1.7 trillion. The program has been plagued by delays, cost overruns, and technical problems for decades, and yet the contracts keep flowing. Why? Because Lockheed Martin deliberately manufactures components for the F-35 across 45 different U.S. states. That means nearly every senator and congressman has Lockheed Martin jobs in their district. Canceling the program would be political suicide. That's not an accident. That's a strategy. Number 2, the Raytheon legacy. Raytheon Technologies, now rebranded as RTX Corporation, is the world's largest producer of guided missiles. Every time you see footage of a precision strike in a conflict zone, a Tomahawk cruise missile, a Patriot air defense intercept, a Javelin anti-tank missile, there's an overwhelming probability that Raytheon built it. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, and the United States committed billions in military aid, Raytheon's stock price climbed. When tensions escalated in the Middle East in 2023 and 2024, Raytheon's order book swelled. CEO Greg Hayes said it openly in a 2022 investor call. He expected the conflict in Ukraine to be a long-term driver of demand for Raytheon products. A defense CEO on an investor call describing a war as a demand driver. That sentence tells you everything you need to know about the incentive structure. Number 3, the Boeing defense machine. Most people think of Boeing as an airplane company, and it is. But Boeing's defense division is one of the largest military contractors on Earth, producing Apache helicopters, B-52 bombers, F-15 fighter jets, and ballistic missile systems. During the height of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, Boeing's defense revenues surged dramatically. Between 2001 and 2011, the decade following September 11th, U.S. defense spending roughly doubled, from approximately $300 billion annually to over $700 billion. Boeing, Lockheed, Raytheon, and their peers absorbed enormous portions of that expansion. Shareholders were rewarded handsomely, executives collected record bonuses, and the wars continued. Number 4. General Dynamics and the shipbuilding empire. General Dynamics is less flashy than the others, but arguably more deeply embedded in the permanent war economy. They build nuclear submarines. They build Abrams battle tanks. They build Gulfstream private jets, which, interestingly, are also used extensively by the U.S. military and government officials. General Dynamics has maintained a consistent pattern for decades, rotating senior executives into government advisory roles and pulling senior government officials into executive and board positions. This revolving door between the Pentagon and defense contractors is one of the most thoroughly documented phenomena in American political economy. A retired general joins a defense board. A former defense secretary becomes a corporate advisor. The relationships built inside government become contracts awarded outside it. Number 5. Halliburton and the Iraq Blueprint. No conversation about war profiteering is complete without Halliburton. In 2000, Dick Cheney stepped down as Halliburton's CEO to become Vice President of the United States under George W. Bush. 3 years later, the U.S. invaded Iraq, and Halliburton's subsidiary, KBR, received no bid contracts, meaning no competitive bidding process, worth an estimated $39.5 billion for work in Iraq and Afghanistan over the following decade. No bid contracts to the company run by the sitting vice president just 3 years earlier. The Pentagon's own auditors flagged over $1 billion in questioned or unsupported costs from KBR contracts in Iraq. The contracts kept flowing anyway. The system behind the system. Here's what connects all 5. It's not a secret society. It's not a shadowy backroom. It's something far more mundane and far more difficult to dismantle. It's a system of aligned incentives. Defense companies donate to political campaigns. Politicians sit on defense appropriations committees. Retired military officials join defense boards. Contracts get awarded, stock prices rise, dividends get paid, and the cycle repeats. War after war, administration after administration, regardless of which party holds the White House. President Dwight D. Eisenhower warned about exactly this in his farewell address in 1961. He coined the phrase, the military-industrial complex. He said, and this is documented history, that the conjunction of a large military establishment and a large arms industry is new in American experience, and its total influence is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. He warned that the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. That was 1961. The defense budget then was a fraction of what it is today. The soldiers who fight these wars are real. The sacrifices are real. The geopolitical threats that justify military spending are sometimes real. But running alongside all of it every single time is a financial machine that profits from conflict. And that machine has never in modern American history gone a single decade without finding a new war to feed it.